On today's Mind to Mind, I'm going to talk about a little bit more about Chinese hip hop and its development in recent years. So first of all, let's get back to the 2017 to 2019, where Higher Brothers were basically the face of Chinese trap music, with the albums Black Cap. The famous song made in China is also included in this album Black Cap, and also Five Stars, to be esteemed as one of their albums, greatest albums ever during their peak time. So they didn't just succeed domestically; they went global. They were signed to AA Rising, toured internationally, and collaborated with major American rappers. At one point, they were even called the most internationally successful Chinese rap group ever. So what made their peak era special with authenticity plus localization? Tracks like Made in China and WeChat mixed. The Sichuan dialect suddenly became widespread across China, and Chinese cultural references also played a big role in their songs, and also about the Western trap beats. And the combination felt fresh. It wasn't just like copying the US, it's more like Chinese identity inside the hip hop. So now let's talk about the shift. When we look at their later projects, like Five Stars, comparing to their newer output, you can see a clear change. They started aiming more at the international market, more English lyrics, more Western features, more standardized trap sound. But here's the problem is that in trying to be global, they lost some of their uniqueness. Critics point out that their newer music felt more like imitation of American rap, and the playful cultural references from earlier work suddenly disappeared. The sound became more like generic trap instead of Chinese trap. So domestically, Chinese listeners starting feeling like, oh, this isn't us anymore. There's also a structural reason. Higher Brothers as group showed down after 2019. The members started to split apart and focusing on their solo careers, and there's less group cohesion and fewer impactful releases. And the market also moved fast while they weren't consistently active. So in conclusion, in hip hop, especially in China, momentum is everything. So now let's switch to a new group currently is on fire in China, called the DIGI GHETTO. The team is made up of Asen, Malasaki, Toyoki, Mac Overseas, and the Tommy Boy Don't Kill. These five guys are more plugged into the current Chinese scene, while Higher Brothers were being global. DIGI GHETTO stayed closer to local audiences and Chinese platforms and domestic trends. They also represent the new wave sound. So with their help, the Chinese hip hop market has evolved. There are more melodic rap, and more internet cultural influences, and there are more niche aesthetics. For example, rage and underground music. These years, these new music styles are currently really popular in the U.S. society and in all the Western countries, but somehow they are not that popular and well known in Chinese market, especially hip hop market. So I think what makes DIGI GHETTO significant is that they introduced these new music styles into China, just as how Higher Brothers introduced trap music into China during 2017. They introduced rage and underground music and something like drill into China, starting from 2020s. So here are some of their examples.
I'm living this life 没有极限 Somewhere you can be 不会听你屁写 hardcore 原则难记我感谢所有理念首歌写新闻传记创作的第几语言不是口我买单欢迎 Tell my mama 不用担心 I just put ass on my ring Ain't nothing for free 冲得太快说作弊发的 drama 我披荆斩棘找不到我老子一心欢迎 In this come 就 do my thing 我不能让所有人满意
And third, I think this is the most important point is that the relatability is bigger than international prestige. Higher Brothers built a global image, but DIGI GHETTO feels more like our generation and our lifestyle and our language. And in the domestic market, that connection matters more than global recognition. So after basically introducing the DIGI GHETTO to you guys, let's now analyze why they are making better music than Higher Brothers. So first of all, their biggest advantage right now is how they use autotune to create the atmosphere. First of all, autotune is an instrument, not just correction. They don't use autotune to fix vocals, they use it to create the emotion and texture. Their voices stretch, bend, and float over the beat, and the melodies feel fluid instead of rigid. The vocal itself becomes part of the production. It's not just about rap anymore, it's more like a melodic sound design. And second is the atmosphere and the space. DG Ghetto tracks feel immersive. Lots of reverb and delay, ambient layers in the background, softer, more spaced out beats. And instead of hitting you hard like classic trap, the music pulls you into the mood. You're not just listening, you're inside the sound. So if we say Higher Brothers are more like the Migos and all these Atlantic trap rappers, DJ Ghetto actually sounds more like Travis Scott and Playboi Carti and even Don Toliver. So this is really a big shift in Chinese hip hop. Higher Brothers represent the trap energy, the bars, and the attitude, but DJ Ghetto kind of represents the vibe, the emotion, and the true sonic atmosphere, and the kind of music that all the younger generation across the world would like. Higher Brothers are more rhythm driven, flow focused, and instead DJ Ghetto is more melody driven and hooks that feel almost like singing. So this makes their songs easier to replay and they are also more emotionally engaging, more aligned with global trends like rage, cloud rap, and plug and B. So when people say Higher Brothers fell off, it's not really about the skill. It's about sound evolution. They started closer to traditional trap structure and performance-based rap, while DJ Ghetto moved toward experimental autotune textures and the kind of emotional atmospheric production. So right now in Chinese hip hop scene, atmosphere is already bigger than aggression, and the melody is already bigger than the bars. And that's why DJ Ghetto feels fresher to all the hip hop audiences in China. So the real takeaway is this: Higher Brothers make music you could turn up, and DJ Ghetto makes music you can get lost in.